I was not supposed to be a kid who worried about adult problems. I was not supposed to be the one who kept track of food and water and bruises and lies. I was not supposed to be the one who made plans in my head while everyone else slept. But that is what happened to me, and it started so early that for a long time I thought it was normal. My sister Kate was younger than me. In a normal family, a younger sister is someone you fight with over clothes or toys, someone you tease, someone you protect sometimes but not all the time. In our family, Kate was not just my sister. She became my responsibility. She became the reason I stayed quiet. She became the reason I pushed my own fear down and tried to think clearly. When people talk about parentified siblings, they often mean chores, babysitting, helping with younger kids. What happened to me was deeper than that. I did not just help raise Kate. I tried to keep her alive. It began every summer. Our mother would say we were going to fat camp. She acted like she was being a good parent. She would look at our bodies and frown like we had done something wrong by existing. She told us we were unhealthy and lazy, that we needed discipline, that we needed to work hard to deserve food. But we were not overweight. We were not even close. Even when I was little, I could tell something was wrong. I could see my ribs. I could see the sharp points of my shoulders. I could feel bones that should not have been so visible. I would stand up too fast and the room would spin. Sometimes I would get so dizzy I had to sit on the floor because my legs felt like they did not belong to me. Our mother never let us near a scale. She did not want numbers. She wanted control. Her version of fat camp was not a camp with trainers and healthy meals. It was a drive to my Uncle Harvey's farm. She would drop us there like we were bags of trash she wanted out of her house. She would tell us this was where we would get better, where we would learn discipline, where we would earn the right to be her children. Then she would leave. At Uncle Harvey's farm, the summer had one long shape. Heat, dust, heavy air, and endless work. We worked 10 hours a day. Sometimes more. We worked in fields and barns and sheds. We pulled weeds until our fingers burned. We carried things that were too heavy. We shoveled. We cleaned. We fed animals. We repaired fences. We did anything an adult worker would do. Except we were children. And our food was almost nothing. Most days, our mother left a loaf of bread. That was it. One loaf for 2 kids working all day. Sometimes we had water. Sometimes we did not. If we ran out, we had to beg for more. And begging was dangerous in our world, because begging reminded adults that we had needs, and needs made them angry. The worst part was the weighted jackets. Our mother called them training vests. She acted proud when she forced them onto our shoulders. They were heavy, filled with weights, and they pulled down on our bodies all day while we worked. The straps cut into our skin. The weight made our backs ache. It made breathing feel harder. It made every step feel like punishment. Our mother said it built strength. What it really built was obedience. Sometimes, there was one small break in the horror. Sometimes she would forget to check our progress. Sometimes she would leave us alone and not come back until later. Those were the moments where I would make choices like a parent. I would look at the work that needed to be done. I would think about what our mother would do if we did not do it. I knew she would notice. I knew she would punish us. So I would tell Kate to sit in the shade, inside the barn, or near the chickens. I would tell her to rest. I would give her my share of the bread. I would make sure she drank water first. Then I would work twice as hard to cover for both of us. Kate would play with the chickens because she needed something to hold on to. Something soft and silly. Something alive that did not judge her. I did not play. I counted hours. I watched the sky. I listened for engines. I waited for the sound of a car on the gravel road. When I look back now, I realize that I was not living as a child. I was managing a crisis. Every day. It sounds unbelievable when I say it out loud, but for a long time, it was just our life. There was also something else I noticed as I got older. At the end of every summer, Uncle Harvey would give our mother cash. I did not understand it at first. I was little. I just saw an envelope or a thick stack of bills. I saw the way my mother's face changed when she got it. She would act calm, but her eyes would look pleased, like she had won something. When I got older, I recognized the number. $5,000. Every summer. It always happened after we had worked until our bodies felt hollow. After our hands had cracked. After our shoulders had been bruised by the weighted vests. Uncle Harvey would thank our mother for managing the farm. And our mother would accept the money like it belonged to her. Uncle Harvey was not like our mother, at least not on the surface. He was friendly when we arrived. He would act excited to see us. He would give us candy sometimes. He would open his arms wide and hug us tight. He would make us laugh by squeezing too hard until we could not stop giggling. When you are starving and scared, kindness feels huge. Even small kindness feels like a miracle. So I did not question him at first. I did not understand the full picture. All I knew was that Uncle Harvey seemed kinder than the person who was actually raising us. All I knew was that his hugs and lollipops felt like sunlight in a life that mostly felt cold. But when I turned 11, I started getting suspicious. I think I started noticing because I was getting older and because our mother's stories about the world stopped making sense. We were homeschooled. That meant the only information I had about life came from her. She controlled what we learned. She controlled what we believed. She told us the outside world was dangerous, not in normal ways, but in nightmare ways. She told us that people outside would attack us. She told us they would try to kill us if we were not prepared. She told us strangers were monsters in human skin. She told us that if we tried to talk to them, they would hurt us. She said everyone out there was perfect looking and that we were not ready to be seen. She said we needed training first. She said we needed discipline first. The more she said it, the more it became the air we breathed. And hunger made it worse. When you are hungry all the time, your brain does not work like it should. You cannot think clearly. You cannot plan far ahead. You cannot question the person who controls the food, because the food feels like life itself. That was how she kept us controlled. If someone had asked me back then if I loved my mother, I would have said yes. I would have said it quickly. I would have defended her. I would have felt guilty for any angry thought. Now I understand something painful. A child can feel love and fear at the same time. A child can bond with their abuser. A child can defend the person hurting them because that person also controls the only way to survive. Kate and I lived in that kind of confusing relationship. It was like being trapped in a locked room and being told the lock was love. And inside that room, I became the second parent. Whenever our mother got angry, I would try to pull her focus onto me. I would talk louder. I would volunteer for punishment. I would make myself the target so Kate could be spared. Over time, I stopped seeing Kate as my sibling. That sounds awful, but it is the truth. She felt like my child. Seeing her hurt felt worse than being hurt myself. That is what parentification did to me. It took my natural sibling bond and turned it into a protector and dependent relationship because the world we lived in demanded it. When I was 16 and Kate was 13, I truly thought only one of us might survive. Our mother's behavior was getting worse. The hunger was worse. The punishment was worse. Her lies were sharper. Her anger was more unpredictable. I started giving Kate everything I could. My bread. My water. Anything small I could steal or hide. I would pretend I had already eaten. I would pretend I was not thirsty. I would smile through dizziness so she would not feel guilty. I was a child trying to be an adult because there were no real adults protecting us. Then suddenly our mother died. It was not a slow illness. It was not something we could prepare for. She had smoked for years. One day her body gave out. A sudden heart attack. Just like that. The day it happened, the air in the house felt wrong. Quiet in a way that made my skin crawl. And then Uncle Harvey arrived. We had not seen him in a long time. Not since before our mother got more extreme. Not since before her stories got darker. When he saw us, he broke down. At first, I did not understand why. He cried like he had lost something important. He cried like he was seeing a nightmare and could not wake up. He kept repeating that he had no idea. He kept saying he was sorry. I remember thinking he was being dramatic. That thought makes me sick now, but back then I did not understand trauma. I did not understand what normal care looked like. I did not understand that the cuts on our skin and the bruises on our bodies were not normal. To me, they were just life. But to him, they were proof that something terrible had happened. He took us to his house and fed us. Real food. More food than I had ever seen. I remember staring at the kitchen counters like they were a foreign country. There were fruits, boxes, jars, snacks. There were things I did not even recognize. I remember blurting out a question that now sounds heartbreaking. I asked if the famine ended. I truly believed there had been a famine. That was one of my mother's biggest lies. She told us food was scarce for everyone. She told us she was saving us by rationing. She told us that hunger was normal. Uncle Harvey looked at me like I had been stabbed. Kate looked like she could not even blink. Uncle Harvey asked if we had favorite foods. I laughed because the question felt like a trick. Favorite food sounded like something from a storybook, not real life. Then he cried again, harder. I judged him at first because I did not understand. I thought he was weak for crying. In truth, I had become numb because my body could not afford feelings. Feelings cost energy. Hunger took that energy away. Slowly, life started to change. Uncle Harvey enrolled us in school. He promised we could leave if it was too much. He tried to make it gentle. But school was terrifying for me at first. I still believed my mother's stories. I still thought strangers might attack us. I still thought the world outside was dangerous in unreal ways. On my first day, a girl smiled at me and offered to show me around. She was not perfect looking like my mother claimed everyone was. She looked normal. Healthy. Kind. I stared at her like she was a puzzle. I asked her if she wanted to hurt me. The girl looked shocked, then shook her head hard, like she could not believe what I had said. Then she kept talking and showing me around like she was determined to be kind anyway. Kate also made a friend. Quiet like her. A girl who did not demand too much. A girl who just sat beside her and shared space. Week by week, the world became more real. I saw mothers picking up children after school. I saw parents hugging kids in normal ways. I saw families eating snacks without guilt. And with every normal moment I witnessed, my anger grew. I realized our mother had been deeply sick. I realized her cruelty was not discipline. It was abuse. It was control. It was something twisted. I started wishing she were alive so I could scream at her. I started wishing impossible things because my anger had nowhere to go. Then, just when I thought we were safe, I heard something that changed everything again. It was the last day of school before summer break. I finished early and got home sooner than usual. Uncle Harvey was on the phone. He did not hear me come in. I moved quietly because years of fear taught me silent footsteps. I heard him talking about us. He said we were safe now, and he said our mother did what needed to be done. He said the farm would have collapsed without her. He spoke in a way that made my stomach drop. In that moment, I understood something cold and awful. He knew. He knew about the farm work. He knew about the hunger. He knew about the weighted vests. He knew about the way we were used. And he paid her anyway. I ran upstairs to Kate's room. She was sitting on her bed reading a book Uncle Harvey had bought her. She looked peaceful. She looked like she was finally healing. The sight of her made my decision sharp. We had to leave. I told her what I heard. I watched her face break with betrayal. It was like watching a child realize the grown-ups were not safe. We packed quickly, silently. I grabbed clothes, toiletries, anything that could help. I also took cash from Uncle Harvey's desk drawer. I knew it was wrong in a normal world, but in our world, cash was survival. Cash was escape. We reached the stairs with our bags. Then we froze. Uncle Harvey stood at the top of the stairs with his arms crossed, watching us. Kate's hand tightened around mine. Her fingers trembled. Without thinking, I stepped slightly in front of her, like I always did. My body moved on old habits, old instincts. Uncle Harvey asked where we thought we were going. I lied fast. I said we were going outside for air. I said Kate had a nightmare. The lie slid out smoothly because I had practiced lying my whole life, not for fun, but for safety. Uncle Harvey came down slowly, and the look on his face changed. The kind uncle mask slipped. His eyes looked colder. His expression looked calculated. He reminded me of our mother in a way that made my skin crawl. He asked why we had bags, why we had cash. I admitted we were scared, at least partially. I said we did not feel safe. He asked what we were afraid of. He asked if we were afraid of him. He sounded offended, like we were ungrateful. For a moment, guilt rose in me, because guilt was a weapon adults used on us. It was a reflex. Then I remembered the phone call. I remembered the cash payments. I remembered all those summers. I asked him how he could pretend to be a rescuer when he paid our mother to use us. The words landed heavy between us. I wanted him to deny it. I wanted him to explain. I wanted something that made it less true. He did not deny it. He sighed and said our mother was complicated. He said she managed the farm when he could not. He said he needed help because his back gave out years ago. He said it like he was explaining a business deal. So I said the truth. I said he'd bought us, that he corrected me, and said he gave us purpose. He said he gave us structure. He said the world was not kind to the weak. He sounded exactly like our mother. Kate whimpered behind me. Rage rose in me like fire. I told him we were starving. I told him we were children. I told him none of it was normal. Then he changed tactics. He softened his face. He offered to talk in the morning. He promised pancakes. He acted gentle, like the uncle we wanted him to be. That switch was what scared me most, because it showed he knew how to manipulate. He knew how to sound caring when he needed control. And for a moment, it worked. I hesitated. We had nowhere safe to go. The world outside still scared Kate. We did not have a real plan. Uncle Harvey pushed that fear. He asked where we would go. He talked about foster care and the streets. He planted doubt. Kate looked at me with wide eyes, silently begging me to choose. And because I was still the parent in our broken little family, I made a choice that bought us time. I agreed to stay one more night. I told him we would talk in the morning. He looked relieved. He told us to go back upstairs. We did. But I did not fully relax. Before bed, I hid the cash inside my pillowcase. The bills made a small crinkle sound, and that sound felt like insurance. Kate asked if we were really leaving tomorrow. I told her I did not know, but I promised I would not let him hurt us like our mother did. Kate said she was scared. I told her I knew. I stroked her hair the way a parent would. I told her I had her always. Then I stayed awake for a long time, staring at the ceiling, trying to plan. In the morning, Uncle Harvey acted like nothing happened. He made pancakes. He smiled. He served syrup and butter like we were a happy family. Kate's eyes lit up, because pancakes felt like love. Mine did not. The sweetness sat heavy in my stomach because I could feel the trap under the kindness. Uncle Harvey asked casually what our plan was for the day. Then he said he thought we could all work together in a field that needed weeding. The words chilled me. There it was. The reintroduction. The slow push back into labor. He said it would only be until lunch. He said then we could have the afternoon off. He made it sound generous. But I understood what he was doing. He was testing us. He was reminding us who had control. We went to the tool shed. Inside, hanging on hooks like ghosts, were the weighted vests. I felt my throat tighten. I felt my shoulders ache just looking at them. Uncle Harvey reached for one and tried to put it on Kate, saying it would build her strength. I stepped between them and said no. My voice was firm. My body shook inside, but I did not move. Uncle Harvey's smile tightened. He said it was for our own good. I said no again. He shrugged and said fine, but we would have to work harder without them. It was a threat wearing a calm face. We worked in the sun, pulling weeds, dirt under our nails, sweat in our eyes. Uncle Harvey watched us closely. He pushed us to move faster. He narrowed his eyes when we took water breaks. Small things, but I recognized the pattern. By noon, Kate looked sick. Her face was flushed. Her movements were slow and unstable. Her eyes blinked like she was fighting sleep. Heat exhaustion. I recognized it because I had seen it too many times. I told Uncle Harvey she needed to rest. He nodded and told me to take her inside. I did, supporting her weight with my arm. In the kitchen, I sat her down and made her drink water in small sips. I pressed a cool cloth to her neck. I watched her breathing steady. Then, while she recovered, I slipped into Uncle Harvey's office. I needed proof. I needed something solid that could keep us safe. I found a locked drawer. I picked it quickly because our mother's locked cabinets had taught me how. Inside were documents, receipts, letters, notes. And there, like a knife, was a letter from my mother. It talked about me getting suspicious. It talked about increasing my workload to keep me tired and obedient. It talked about Kate being easier to manage. It was proof in black and white. My hands shook as I took photos with my phone. Then I heard footsteps. Uncle Harvey stood in the doorway. His voice was cold. He demanded to know what I was doing. I backed up, clutching my phone like it was my lifeline. He said he trusted me. He said he gave me a home. He said I was ungrateful. I told him the truth. I told him he and our mother treated us like slaves. He snapped and said our mother did what was necessary. He said the farm was in his family for generations and he refused to lose it. He said our mother offered a solution. Us. We were the solution. I said we were children. He said we were strong, capable, like our suffering was something to praise. Then he demanded my phone. I refused. He grabbed my wrist and twisted hard enough that pain exploded up my arm. I cried out. The phone fell. He grabbed it. He demanded the password. I stayed silent. He dragged me to the kitchen where Kate sat, still weak. He told us to go upstairs. He locked us in the bedroom. Kate whispered that we were locked in. Her voice sounded like a child realizing a nightmare is real. I tried the door. It would not open. Kate asked what I found. I told her there was proof he paid our mother. Proof he knew. Kate's face crumpled. She said he was nice to us. She remembered lollipops and hugs. I told her that was how people like this worked. They give you sweetness to keep you attached. I looked at the window. Second floor. But there was a sloped roof below that led to the porch. It was risky, but possible. I said we needed my phone back. It had the photos. Kate asked how we could get it. He locked us in. I reminded her I could pick locks. Using a bobby pin, I worked on the lock. After a tense minute, it clicked. I told Kate to stay in the room. If I got caught, she might still escape. I crept down the hall. I listened. Uncle Harvey was in the kitchen on the phone again. He said he could not control us like our mother did. He said the older one was a problem. Me. He talked about sending the younger one away. He talked about breaking us up. Divide and conquer. The words froze my blood. I would not let him separate us. That would kill Kate's spirit. I crept downstairs. My phone was on the counter, just a few feet from him. I needed a distraction. I threw a rolled towel into a stack of pans so they crashed loudly. Uncle Harvey jumped. In that moment, I rushed forward, grabbed my phone, and ran. I heard him cursing behind me. I locked the bedroom door again, heart pounding. Kate asked if I got it. I showed her the phone. Then we heard heavy footsteps pounding up the stairs. Uncle Harvey grabbed the door handle and rattled it violently. He shouted for us to open it. We stayed silent. Kate squeezed my hand so tight it hurt. After a minute, he stormed away, probably looking for the key. I told Kate we had to go now. We grabbed our bags and opened the window. I climbed out first, testing the roof. The shingles scraped my hands. The slope made my stomach drop. But it held. I scooted down carefully to the porch roof, then dropped to the ground. I called for Kate. She climbed out, shaking, moving stiffly with fear. I guided her step by step. Then we heard a loud sound upstairs. The bedroom door banged open. Uncle Harvey appeared at the window with rage on his face. Kate froze. I shouted for her to jump and said I would catch her. She closed her eyes and jumped. I caught her, and we both hit the ground hard. Pain shot through my elbows, but we stood and ran. Behind us, the front door flew open. Uncle Harvey chased us down the yard, faster than I expected. He screamed insults. He called us ungrateful. He shouted that we belonged to him. Kate started to slow. She was smaller and still weak. Her breath sounded sharp and panicked. I pulled her along, telling her not to stop. We reached the main road. Town was miles away. My lungs burned. Then I saw a truck coming. I waved like my life depended on it, because it did. The truck slowed. A middle-aged woman with kind eyes rolled down her window and asked if we needed help. I begged for a ride into town. She looked past us and saw Uncle Harvey approaching, shouting. She asked if he was our dad. I said no. I said we needed to get away from him. Something in my voice convinced her. She unlocked the doors and told us to get in. We scrambled into the truck as Uncle Harvey reached us. He slapped the window and tried to tell her we were confused. He tried to sound calm and normal. But she looked at us, then at him, and made her choice. She drove off, leaving him behind in dust and fury. I did not stop shaking for a long time. The woman introduced herself as Elaine. She offered to take us to the sheriff's office, but the word police made my stomach twist. I was afraid of being separated. I was afraid of systems. I was afraid of adults deciding our lives again. Elaine seemed to understand and did not push. I asked if she knew Cheryl Wagner, a woman who worked with troubled teens. Elaine nodded and said everyone knew her, that she ran the Haven Youth Center. So Elaine took us there. The center looked like a normal house with a porch and a welcoming door. It did not look like a prison. It did not look like punishment. Elaine gave me her phone number before leaving and told me to call if I needed anything. That simple kindness almost broke me. Kate and I rang the doorbell. A woman in her 40s opened the door. She looked tired but kind. She asked if she could help. I started to speak, and then a familiar face appeared behind her. It was Melissa, a girl from my class. She recognized me immediately. She reminded her mom that I was the girl who once asked if she wanted to attack me. Even now, I felt embarrassed remembering that. But Cheryl's eyes softened, like she understood there was pain behind strange questions. She invited us inside. In a small office, she asked us what was going on. So I told her. I told her about fat camp that was not a camp. I told her about the farm. I told her about bread and weighted vests. I told her about our mother's lies. I told her about Uncle Harvey's payments. I told her about the letter. I showed her the photos on my phone. Cheryl listened without interrupting. Her face grew more serious, but she did not look shocked in a way that made me feel judged. She looked like someone who believed me. When I finished, she told us she believed us. She told us none of it was our fault. She also told me something that made my throat tighten. She said it was not my responsibility to protect Kate, but I did it anyway, and that showed strength. I did not know what to do with those words. I had never been praised for protecting Kate. In our world, it was just survival. Cheryl said there was enough evidence for an investigation, but her main focus was keeping us safe and together. Safe and together. Those words felt like oxygen. That night, Cheryl helped me back up the photos to a cloud account. She explained that evidence must be protected. She explained that abusers try to erase proof. The next morning, foster parents arrived. Their names were Marcus and Janet Brooks. They were younger than I expected. They looked like normal people. Not perfect. Not polished. Just real. Janet smiled warmly and said they were glad to meet us. Marcus told us our room was ready and that we could decorate it ourselves. Decorate it ourselves. That idea felt unreal. Their house was modest and lived in. It had clutter. It had family photos. It had the soft mess of normal life. Our room had 2 twin beds with clean sheets. It had notebooks and colored pens waiting for us. Kate picked up a pen and started drawing without being told to. That was when I realized how much she had been holding inside. The first days were strange. I kept waiting for rules to appear. For punishment. For hidden expectations. But they just fed us. They made regular meals without making us earn it. They encouraged Kate to rest. Janet baked cookies with her. Kate smiled in a way I had not seen in years. Marcus showed me how to change a tire. He said everyone should know basic skills, but he did not say it like a threat. He said it like sharing. A week later, a social worker named Raymond visited. He asked how it was going. I said it was good, and I surprised myself by meaning it. I asked about Uncle Harvey. Raymond said there was an investigation. The sheriff searched the farm. They found documents and the weighted vests. I felt a wave of relief so strong I had to swallow hard. They believed us. They had proof. That night, I could not sleep, but the feeling was different. It was not the same trapped fear. It was the restless feeling of a body that finally has space to breathe. I went downstairs for water and found Marcus awake, reading. He asked if I could not sleep. I said my mind was too loud. He offered hot chocolate, saying it helps when your brain will not stop. We sat at the kitchen table with warm mugs. The sweetness felt like comfort, not control. I asked if Uncle Harvey would go to jail. Marcus said probably, but it takes time. I admitted I did not know if I wanted jail. I just wanted the truth known. Marcus said that makes sense, and he said we deserved to never be forced into silence again. 2 weeks later, Raymond called. Uncle Harvey was formally charged with child endangerment, neglect, and labor violations. Then Raymond said Uncle Harvey wanted to speak with us. Raymond made it clear we did not have to do it. Kate said she wanted to know why. So we agreed to meet in a safe office, with adults whose job was to protect us this time. Uncle Harvey looked smaller in that room. His shoulders were hunched. His face looked tired. His lawyer sat beside him. Raymond and a victim advocate sat with us. Uncle Harvey thanked us for coming and said he wanted to explain. I did not speak at first. I just watched him. He said the farm was failing and our mother offered help. He said he did not ask questions. He said he did not want to know details. I reminded him the letters proved he knew. He admitted that eventually he did know. He said he told himself it was not that bad, that our mother was strict, teaching discipline. Kate spoke up in a quiet voice and said we were starving. Uncle Harvey flinched. He said he was sorry. He said he should have stopped it. I asked why he did not. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he admitted the truth. He said the farm was more important to him than we were. He said it was unforgivable. I told him he was right. That was all. There was nothing else to say. We left. In the car, Kate said she felt lighter, like she had been carrying something heavy, and now she did not have to carry it alone. I understood. Sometimes, hearing the truth out loud is not healing, but it stops the bleeding from staying hidden. Over the next months, the legal process moved forward. Uncle Harvey pleaded guilty. He was sentenced. The farm was sold. A portion of the money went into a trust for Kate and me. The Brooks began the process to become our guardians. School started again, and slowly, my mother's lies about the world faded. I did not ask people if they wanted to hurt me anymore. I made friends. I joined clubs. Kate joined an art group, and her drawings became brighter. She drew chickens sometimes, because those chickens were one of the only small joys from the farm. She remembered one chicken with a crooked beak that used to follow me around. She called it Sunshine. When Kate drew Sunshine again, I realized something. Even in the worst places, children try to find one small light. Kate found it in animals. I found it in protecting her. But now, we did not have to live off small lights. We could have real safety. One evening, Janet asked me what I wanted to do after high school. No one had asked me that before. The future had never felt like something I owned. I thought about it and said maybe I wanted to help kids like us. Janet said I would be good at that. Later, I sat beside Kate in our room while she drew. I told her we made it. We were okay. She nodded, and for the first time, I believed it without feeling like I had to lie to myself. Parentification took years from me. It took my childhood and replaced it with responsibility. But it also showed me what love really is. Love is not fear. Love is not hunger. Love is not control. Love is safety. And now, for the first time, Kate and I were finally safe together.